And a very happy Friday to you at 12:08 in the West on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs across the glass.
John, yesterday, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, along with sanitation workers and the LAPD, worked to clear out the largest homeless encampment in the San Fernando Valley. A homeless encampment that even Karen Bass admitted was incredibly dangerous.
This is a notorious encampment. This is such a dangerous location. I saw propane canisters all over the place. This has been a place of fires. This is dangerous.
But then when she was asked what took so long for you to clear this encampment, she said this.
So what Anita Kadani does as the head of Inside Safe, it takes her a while to assemble the motel rooms because we try to take people together so that we don't break up the community. Because what we do acknowledge, when you see these encampments, these are communities. So we don't want to separate the people.
Oh, yeah. We can't separate Bob over here from his dealer.
So on one hand, they're incredibly dangerous, violent, they start fires, and they're full of explosive propane tanks, but they're also a community.
And now they're going to be Diamond at Hilton. You know we're on the hook when they burn those motels down.
Yep.
How much did they have to pay in San Francisco to replace all the broken motel rooms?
It was a lot of money with all of the original Project Room Key sites where we decided, let's take all the homeless off the streets, put them in the motels, but let them use their drugs in the motels, and fires were aplenty.
The only thing the homeless aren't going to take from those motel rooms is the intimacy kit. Because those cowboys like...
All right, you be careful. We're starting blue. We don't need to get any bluer here.
All right. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Gavin Newsom is trying to make national news by threatening to redraw the lines for California's congressional delegation. Typically, that happens once in a decade after the census comes in, and they decide how many congressional seats each state is entitled to. Well, because the state of Texas is now saying that due to population shifts, they plan on redrawing their lines, Gavin Newsom says if Texas does that, so will California, and he's willing to take it to a vote of the people.
In fact, they're now eyeballing a November election for the voters of California to vote on this very confusing specific issue. For more, here is KCRA 3 and their Capitol correspondent, the great Ashley Zavala.
Taking a live look at the state capitol tonight, where we're learning this year may end up being an election year here in California. No, it wasn't planned. Governor Gavin Newsom is finalizing his strategy to try to send more Democrats to Congress as Texas redraws its maps to do the same for Republicans.
Yeah, the governor revealing a little bit more about the timing.
What's next? We're going to say that we're going to open a Whataburger?
Well, here's something to think about. And I know this is going to sound conspiratorial, and I know it's going to sound like I've got tinfoil on my head, and it's going to sound like I've been up all night listening to tapes of Art Bell. However, I bet you I'm right. If they have a special election in November about redrawing those lines, and you know it's not going to be a fair map, you know it's going to be a gerrymander. I've seen some of these maps that have been floating around on the internet. Have you seen the shapes of those congressional districts? It looks like special ed learned geometry. So if they come up with a hyper-partisan map that we're all supposed to vote on, it's going to motivate all the Democrats to come out and vote. And Republicans aren't going to come out and vote because they don't have the same motivation. They know they're outnumbered in California. So you're going to have a special election with basically only Democrats voting so they can vote in this map.
Those are the Democrats that understand what the hell this is, which I would say is less than half.
Oh, yeah. So if you're going to have a special election where you're going to put that on the ballot, why not put your laundry list of Christmas list items along with it? This is where you can put in any tax increase you want. You can make Pacific Palisades look like Manhattan if you want to. Why not put that on the ballot?
Well, you know, that's interesting. once they set this date for a special election, it would not be crazy to say that we might see that tribal casino sports gambling bill get on there.
No, I'm telling you, this is going to be like Christmas for the Democrats if they have this special election. Downsize the prison. Hell, let's just eliminate them. Legalize sex changes? Why stop there? Let's give every little teenage girl 2 or 3 penises. Put one on your forehead, right between your eyes. You can hang your laundry on it.
What did we say about working blue, Johnny? I don't want to dump you today, but I will.
This is what I'm saying, though. This is what I'm saying. This is dangerous. This is very dangerous. Anything they want. Anything they want. They could probably ban Elon Musk from ever entering this state again.
Republicans.
Yeah, the governor revealing a little bit more about the timing of all this when Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala asked him directly about that today. She's here in the studio with what we should expect, Ashley.
Galston, Election Day in California could be November 4th this year. Governor Gavin Newsom is eyeing that date to try to get voters to temporarily upend the state's redistricting system.
By the way, I don't know if this is in our contract, but if it's a special election, I want double time if we have to stay late for that.
Oh, yeah. We'll be on until 10 in Fresno and San Francisco, too.
To talk about something that nobody has any idea what we're doing here.
This year, Governor Gavin Newsom is eyeing that date to try to get voters to temporarily upend the state's redistricting system to draw congressional maps in a way that will help Democrats in California get elected.
I think you already saw a post from Eric Swallow say, "Goodbye, Kevin Kiley."
But here's the thing, and we're going to get into this with Broyle Oakes, ABC News legal analyst, later on in the program. The map that we have now is basically a Democratic gerrymander. And because of the population shifts and because of the changing voting patterns, some of these Democratic seats that they drew are a lot less Democratic than they were when they were drawn. There are a number of seats that exist right now where Kamala Harris, Democratic seats, only got between 50 and 55%. If you're going to make a Republican seat more competitive for the Democrats, you have to take those Democrats from somewhere else, which means those safe Democratic seats are going to be a lot less safe. So you can go ahead and swing for the fences if you want to, but beware that you may not get the result that you're looking for.
Get elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. Some might call this gerrymandering, but the governor says it's a move that's needed in the name of democracy.
If they're going to gerrymander, we're going to gerrymander.
And I'm going to get some bookings on some more bro podcasts.
If they're going to make it so you can't buy booze on a Sunday, we're going to make sure we give you free booze on Sunday. Now, there's a way to go against Texas.
I'd be in favor of that.
Well, we're reacting to the President of the United States and Governor Abbott trying to rig the election.
At a wildfire-related press conference, Governor Gavin Newsom spoke at length about the political fire he's trying to fight against Texas. Newsom said Thursday he's eyeing a November election this year in California to get voters involved.
We will take back Congress. President of the United States.
Do you know how many California journalists, talk show hosts, what have you, are probably looking to see, hey, it's not an election year. It's a great time of year to take a nice vacation. Nope.
Well, and then you're going to see the sales department saying, do any of these initiatives interest Rick Caruso?
We will take back Congress. President of the United States recognizes that, so he wants to rig the game. Wants to change the rules midterm.
Texas's Republican-led legislature this week proposed new congressional maps at the request of President Donald Trump to try to send 5 more Republicans to the U.S. House of Representatives.
By the way, couldn't that also blow up in their face? Because since 2020, a lot of Californians have moved to Texas.
Yes, and here's the other thing, too. We are hemorrhaging our population. So let's say that you go ahead and redraw these lines for 2026 or 2028. I don't know how fast they're thinking about doing this. That'll last for 1 or 2 cycles. And then we're going to lose between 3 and 5 seats. So that means you're going to have a lot of Democrats who are members of Congress due to this new map that you just drew who are going to lose their jobs due to population patterns, population shifts. So you may strengthen your hand of cards in the short term, but you're going to make the members of your own delegation all hate one another because none of them are going to want to be drawn out, and 5 of them are. It's like a game of musical chairs where it's a zero-sum game. Either you get drawn out or the guy next to you gets drawn out. So they're all going to be backstabbing one another 24/7.
To try to send 5 more Republicans to the U.S. House of Representatives. California voters took that power away from California lawmakers in 2008 and gave it to an independent, citizen-led redistricting commission. But if Texas finalizes their maps this year, Governor Newsom is preparing to ask voters to give the power back to state lawmakers temporarily.
What a fun issue that gets Gavin national attention every day for the next 4 months.
Isn't it interesting how everything that he does just happens to result in national attention for him?
For the 2026, 2028, and 2030 election, voters could have the final say on not just the change, but also the maps. I asked the governor about the timeline.
As you explore your options, what's your timeline looking like? What can we expect over the next couple of weeks, couple of months?
The special election would be called. It's likely to be the first week of November. That process will unfold in a way where maps will be made available in a transparent way. We will go to the people of this state in a transparent way and ask them to consider the new circumstances, to consider these new realities. And over the course of the next week or...
You look at the average California voter. Are they going to understand what this is at all?
What do you think?
I'm still trying to figure out what those kidney bills are that they make us vote on every 2 years.
I'm sure we'll have more of that, too.
And over the course of the next week or two, we will have more information to share with you on a timely basis.
A special election could be expensive for California taxpayers. The state is already strapped for cash this year and is expected to be in the years to come.
It's so funny because whenever there's an election they don't want, like a recall, the first thing they say is, do you understand how expensive it is to hold a special election? That was one of the things that Shangy said, why it was a bad idea, and then they just moved it to the general election.
Oh,
absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And they get about as dramatic as possible when they say that you're going to starve the state full of money. Oh, my God, if you do this special election, then kids aren't going to have schools to go to. And look at this woman sitting here smoking 2 cigarettes at once in front of a slot machine with an oxygen tank that's going to run out of oxygen.
The state is already strapped for cash this year and is expected to be in the years to come. The governor acknowledged this, but said,
It's the MasterCard commercial, priceless, democracy, values, rule of law.
Sometimes he just spouts out jargon and the words don't really connect to each other. He is the strangest speaker that California has or will ever have.
Yeah, it also is like a credit card commercial for the reason that you only need co-signers if your credit is bad.
Okay, so how much could that special election cost, though? The governor says he's in the process of analyzing that. We know from California's special election, Newsom's recall in 2021, the state ended up spending a little more than $200 million. So if California lawmakers go along with it, when they return to Sacramento on August 18th, they have just a couple of weeks to not only finalize the maps here, but also the exact question they pose to voters in November. So a lot to do in a little bit of time.
Well, yeah, I mean, you bring up one thing, you said maps. So, yeah. I mean, do these maps exist?
Yeah, the governor actually addressed that, not officially. The governor said he understands there's rumors and maps floating out there about what this could look like in California. He says he does not have a map. He promises this is not happening in a back room, and he vowed repeatedly to be transparent about all of this.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
He thinks that he's going to rewrite the script and be the hero here for Democrats because he's looking at a Democratic primary.
Well, and he thinks that the primary voters like the fight fire with fire attitude.
Here's the thing. I know a lot of Democrats in my life, and I can identify people I know who had great affection for Obama. I can identify people I know who had great affection for Bill Clinton and even Hillary Clinton. I can identify people who have great affection for Nancy Pelosi. I know of no one in my own personal social circle of Democrats who has any affection for Gavin Newsom. Not one.
But it just didn't feel big enough.
It's important to point out this is only happening, though, if Texas officially redraws its maps.
And we do know this will at least cost a couple $100 million because that's what the last one cost.
Exactly.
It'll be millions, basically.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ashley.
So there you go. There's the latest on the possible redistricting special election coming this November.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And if you're listening live right now, you are in for a treat, or we're in for a treat, because you got to hear that last segment unedited. However, if you hear it again on Christmas Day, you're going to hear me get bleeped.
Oh, not even bleeped. I'm just taking that whole line out. Johnny worked a little blue in segment A.
But if you want to go back and hear the edited podcast, that's easy to do.
I'm still deciding if I'm going to take that out of the podcast. I almost wonder if I should have dumped it. But
you
you'll
look
see.
like a disapproving parent right now. I expected more out of you, Phillips.
You've been in this business like 5 years longer than I have. But yes, you'll find out if I bleep what Johnny said or not by downloading the podcast of this show. Go to the John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for the John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You could download all the episodes. I wonder, maybe I could I bleep it right now and then people could hear the thing that you said that I decided was not airable? Let me just get the bleep generator here. Let's see if I got it here.
The only thing the homeless aren't going to take from those motel rooms is the intimacy kit. Because those...
That's what it's going to be.
The punchline doesn't land the same way. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, the requests are already starting to come in.
Unfortunately, even if you ask very nicely, I don't want to email the unedited clip of the thing that Johnny said in the first segment. For your future posterity, 20 years from now, when you get inducted to the Radio Hall of Fame, we don't want that one circling around now, do we?
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Look at this. 790 KABC welcomes the Gypsy Kings, featuring Nicholas Reyes at the City National Grove of Anaheim on August 13th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Nederlander Concerts. Good luck dialing.
All right. Since now we don't have Kamala Harris to kick around anymore, the question becomes, who is now the favorite to become California's next governor?
I have a guess.
Oh, God, please no. Okay. Now, let me say something here. I know that we get a lot of government that we don't want here in the state of California. I know we have to put up with a lot to have this beautiful weather. But that would be one bridge too far.
Like, please.
I'm not saying I'd move, but I'm not sure I'd make it out alive.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
What do you think Katie Porter's going to do to you?
I don't know. I know what she did to her ex-husband, and I don't want to think about what she'd do to me.
Little D.
She dumped a boiling pot of potatoes on his head, right?
Allegedly, yes.
Just slam dunked it right on Dad's noggin. I don't know what she'd do to me. Maybe put my head between her legs and just crack my skull open like a walnut.
You know, it's lunchtime, right?
What do you think she'd do with me? Because I can tell you what she'd do with you.
What's that?
It involves a long walk on a short pier.
What did I do?
What, you think she's got any affection for you?
All I have done is take sound from interviews that she has done over the years and play them back on this board. I didn't do anything.
Hey, hello, everybody.
I didn't make that up. She said that.
Yeah, well, she's going to put you in the middle of the redwoods and not leave you anything to eat.
The state car is going to be the minivan.
Could be.
Well, let's find out who exactly the front runner is going to be. Now that Kamala is out, here is a report from ABC 7 in the Bay Area.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris now out of the picture, as we've reported. We're taking a closer look tonight at the contenders to succeed Governor Gavin Newsom.
ABC 7 News political reporter Monica Madden is tracking the race for us. Monica, any indications of front runners?
Not yet, but if you ask any political consultants or pundits, they're already hedging their bets. But this race at this moment is anyone's to win. So there are contenders who have held statewide and federal positions, but no one really has the same level of name recognition as the former vice president.
In fact, there are several candidates, and I'm not talking about the gadflies. I'm talking about people that are in elected office right now that you could say have zero name ID.
Like Tony Atkins. She was the president pro tem of the California Senate. Nobody knows who she is.
In fact, when people are doing stories about the candidates, they keep accidentally saying that she was the Speaker of the Assembly.
Oh, no kidding. Well, she was actually before she became the president pro tem, but that's 2 jobs ago.
Meaning campaign season is about to heat up.
To move forward.
Supporters hoping for another Harris campaign will have to wait.
Was anybody hoping for another Harris campaign?
When they did the man on the street interviews yesterday, they found, one person?
And even they were kind of iffy.
I will repeat myself.
Supporters hoping for another Harris campaign will have to wait.
Sometimes the fight takes a while.
Now a different fight takes center stage with a lengthy list of lesser-known politicians vying for California's top office.
Yes, it's on. We have a campaign to run.
That's Eleni.
I'm telling you, she's the one that's going to benefit the most out of this because she's got $9 zillion.
For Californians.
She's going to need it, though, because even though she is the sitting lieutenant governor, she has zero name ID.
Well, when you have $9 zillion, the world is your oyster. You may not have any name ID, but by the time the campaign starts, everyone's going to know who you are. And then you got the attack ads. The attack ads are going to be brutal. By the time she gets done with Katie Porter, the public is going to think it was Katie Porter that killed Ron and Nicole.
What ambassadorship did Eleni buy?
Hungry.
Yes, it's on. We have a campaign to run.
Many taking to social media, others blasting out fundraising emails, like former Congresswoman Katie Porter writing, quote, "We're the clear frontrunner in this race," citing her 28-point lead in a March poll by GBAO Strategies.
Oh, Katie, it's early, baby.
I love that she declared herself to be the favorite. I'm the critic's choice.
That is my all-time favorite Katie Porter drop because that is her saying that when she was on a Southwest flight to Sacramento, she got up and bothered people until she got 5 people to vote, commit to voting for her in the primary.
Okay. You want to know, you want to see a plane full of nervous flyers? You have that woman rush the cockpit mid-flight.
Didn't she say that she went to the cockpit?
She did.
You're not supposed to do that.
No, they put that drink cart in the middle of the aisle to block the cockpit when the pilot has to go to the bathroom because they don't want anyone up there. It doesn't matter if you're looking for votes. You're not supposed to bust your way into the cockpit.
Well, I think Katie Porter's going to, see a lot of folks supporting her.
Oakland-based political consultant Jim Ross says Porter can attract the cash, but the field is still wide open.
She has a real base and real following. I think you would have to...
Who is following Katie Porter?
That's a very good question.
She came in 3rd in the Senate primary.
Steve Garvey finished ahead of her.
Well, you know what Katie says about that.
I call it the shift gift.
You notice every clip that you play of her, she sounds angrier and angrier.
Including this one.
What I haven't heard about is anything about dishwashers.
She's the fighter we need in Sacramento.
Well, now that Hulk Hogan's dead, it's that WWE energy.
By the way, since that's something we started doing before we were on every single day in San Francisco, Johnny, can you explain what exactly that clip is all about?
So she was running for U.S. Senate, and one of the TV stations in Sacramento followed her around for a couple of days to just find out what she was like. And she invited them into her home, and she claimed that she had an exercise bike in her kitchen. And that's where she did her exercising, in the kitchen.
Oh, and she had the whiteboard, and she was using the whiteboard for her daughters to rank Taylor Swift songs.
That's right. There was a lot of list making going on in that house. And then she wanted to locate her son, I guess, for a meal. And instead of ringing the dinner bell, she just screamed at the top of her lungs, "Paul!"
Oh!
And we couldn't make out what she was screaming at first. And I thought she said, "Ho!" like the way that Hacksaw Jim Duggan used to. So that's how we ended up with that.
Just had to, make sure we remind everybody sometimes the origin of the nonsense that we play on this show. All right, where were we? Here we go. The front runner.
Following, I think you would have to consider her a front runner in this campaign. The Lieutenant Governor, Eleni Kouliakis,
he doesn't even know her name.
It's close enough.
The Lieutenant Governor, Eleni Kouliakis, she's raised a significant amount of money. She's raised.
She should just change her name to Eleni K.
We already have one Ellen K.
The Lieutenant Governor, Eleni Kouliakis, she's raised a significant amount of money. She's raised just around $9 million.
How much of that came from her own pocket?
Virtually all of it.
Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi appearing to endorse Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kouliakis on CNN Wednesday using her maiden name.
We have many great candidates, one in particular, Lenny Sakopoulos, whom I support.
While endorsements and fundraising will pick up, Ross says there's more to a winning message.
Money can't buy attention. So you're going to have to come with really strong ideas.
What about if you take a bear and you travel with it up and down the state? Will that get you attention?
Yeah, that's exactly what this state needs, more stunting.
I'm so glad John Cox isn't thinking of running again.
Don't give him any ideas.
So you're going to have to come with really strong ideas in order to burn through and get the attention that you're going to need to win this election. I do think that this will be really a contentious race.
There's still room for wild cards, and don't forget about the Republicans.
Got a bunch.
Most people have.
Yeah, one of them is going to have to show some real strong polling. Otherwise, if it looks like it could be two Democrats in the race in November, that's going to be awful for Republican turnout. And that's going to get Washington Republicans' attention, and they may try to recruit someone else to jump in with more viability.
Don't forget about the Republicans.
Got a bunch of Democratic candidates now that have very little name ID and not much of a track record to run on, who are going to spend the next year spending a tremendous amount of money tearing each other apart, while Republicans provide a viable solution for the state's future.
If they can,
yeah, but those guys also have no name ID.
In a state like California, it takes a lot to be well known. Think about this for a second. If you're a member of Congress, if you're a member of the House of Representatives, you represent less than 2% of the overall population statewide. That's crazy, isn't it? When you think about some states like the Dakotas, where they only have one member, you represent 100% of the population. Here you represent less than 2%.
I guarantee we're a state that has over 50 members of Congress. I guarantee the average Californian can't name 5.
I bet you the average Californian can't name their member of Congress.
I can't name mine. I think it's Jimmy Gomez, but I don't know.
If they can consolidate behind one, if the Republicans decide, we're going to pick one of them and that's who we're going to support, then they can maybe get a
Used to be Brad Sherman, but they changed the districts. But I actually don't know anymore.
Well, if it was Brad Sherman, he shows up to the parades and hands out combs because he's bald and he likes the irony.
Then they can maybe get a candidate into the general election.
Now, one of the leading Republicans running is Riverside Sheriff Chad Bianco, and he's debuting a new endorsement on his campaign website today from San Francisco Sheriff Paul Miyamoto.
That's going to get him exactly...
Don't tell Katie.
And because we have this election after a 2-year incumbent for Governor Gavin Newsom, consultants say they're expecting this race to be very heavily focused on policy and the direction of the state post-Newsom.
Unless a celebrity runs.
No. That's not what we're going to get. That's what we deserve, but that's not what we're going to get. We're going to get a bunch of Trump bashing and a bunch of abortion talk. That's what it's going to be. The debate and the conversation will have nothing to do with the powers of governor. How many times do we have to go through this?
It should be a tight race, too.
Absolutely. That's what we're expecting.
Thanks, Monica.
Oh, before we get out of here, I just want a quick assist from Shangy.
It should be a tight race, too.
Absolutely. That's what we're expecting.
Thanks, Monica.
Thanks, Shang. The Fix California Hour coming up after the news at 1. Later on in the program, we're going to check in with ABC News legal analyst Royal Oak. So much to go through, including what's going to happen to the U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley. And he's going to weigh in on the congressional redistricting that may or may not happen here in California. Heidi Harris also stops by to talk about tourism to Las Vegas just falling off a cliff. She is, if Wayne Newton is Mr. Las Vegas, Heidi is Mrs. Las Vegas. So that's coming up the 2 o'clock hour. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Carrie writes in with a question about the governor's race at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Johnny, do you think Rick Caruso has enough name recognition and could raise the money to be taken seriously?
The difference between Rick Caruso and the rest of the candidates is the same difference between Eleni Kounalakis and the rest of the candidates. When you're a billionaire, you can buy name ID. You can buy every ad on every station if you want to, and the entire world will be aware of who you are. Think back to Meg Whitman, when Meg Whitman ran for governor. She was the CEO of, what was it, eBay?
And HP.
And HP, okay.
I think she was HP then. Then after the governor's race, she became eBay.
Okay. So she was a tech executive where people in that world knew who she was, but the man on the street didn't. But the moment that the campaign started, everyone knew who she was because she bought everything. She had that ability because she was so rich. Well, apply the same rules to Eleni and to Rick Caruso, and that's what you would see in a gubernatorial election with the two of them in there. She ran against Jerry Brown, who didn't have that kind of money. He had the union money, and he had the trial attorney money, and the typical money that the Democratic candidates get, but he didn't have personal wealth the same way that Meg Whitman had it. In this election, you could see two candidates with huge amounts of personal wealth go nuclear on one another. This could be a race unlike anything you've ever seen.